Hello everyone, welcome back. So today's video is inspired by some of the questions I get on YouTube. Obviously running a YouTube channel where I'm educating on female hormones, and as a doctor we can't give medical advice without establishing care with patient, right? Like that would just be bad idea medically and bad idea for you. But I do get a lot of questions with patients I think who are frustrated about their labs or frustrated that they haven't gotten the results that they're looking for or the answers that they're looking for, and they're asking what kind of things can they do. So in today's video, we're going to talk about 4 things that are easy to add that can make just a world of difference in your health and your hormonal picture. If you like the videos that we're putting out, first of all, go ahead and hit that like button, hit subscribe for us, and drop us a comment below because it really helps us to just get our videos out to more women, which is really the goal, help more people. So without further ado, let's dive in. So the first addition that I think is a good, healthy addition for women if they're having hormonal concerns is an easy one, right? And that is adding bitters to your diet. So like, what the heck do I mean by this, right? So bitters are basically exactly as it sounds like, things that have that bitter component to it when you eat it. So why do we care? Well, that bitter taste is really, really important for stimulating digestion. It is important for helping the body to kind of prime itself to be able to absorb our nutrients effectively, prime our enzyme production, our digestive enzyme production, and to really just get things moving forward. So when I say bitters, what do I mean, right? So if we're thinking about bitter foods, we're thinking about things like arugula is a good example of kind of a bitter food. Radicchio is one of my obsession vegetables right now in salads. It is really bitter, and so that is a really great choice. But what if that doesn't sound like you, right? One of my favorite herbs is gentian, and I love gentian particularly paired with ginger, right? So we know ginger is really, really good for digestive issues. We think about it when we think about anti-nausea, we think about it for calming down the stomach. Gentian is a really, really bitter herb, and it has that bitter component to it when you taste it. Like it's really potent, we'll call it. So gentian and ginger is one of my favorite combinations. You can get gentian and ginger in a capsule, you can get gentian and ginger in a tincture. I really think that there's a lot of benefit to being able to taste that bitter component. And that's actually like a little side note. My taste went back in November with everything that's going on, and then recently has decided to get worse again, which is very frustrating. And I've actually noticed my digestion has changed since I can't taste the bitter components in things like even coffee and stuff like that. Like I can't taste it, so the digestion has changed. So I think there's a lot that goes to being able to taste that bitterness. Adding a little bit of bitters in, especially before big meals, can be really, really helpful. Kind of to start out your day, just to get your digestion moving in the right direction. Number 2 is a really good one. It's something that I think people don't get a lot of, and it's daylight. Now, you might be thinking this is stupid, right? This is so stupid because I get daylight, I'm by the window at work or whatever. What I mean by this is conscious daylight in the morning, and particularly in the morning and in the evening. So we want to get up in the sun, and we want to go get a little bit of sun on our skin and full spectrum light into our eyes in the morning. Light actually activates our mitochondria, and it activates stem cell production, and it's really, really important. Have you ever questioned why you feel so much better when you're on vacation, right? I think that like a lot of that is obviously being away from our life, being able to decompress, having less stress, having less of that like run. But I think a lot of that's because people spend a lot more time outside, right? So if we can spend a little bit of time in the morning with that sunshine on our skin, that full spectrum light getting into our eyes, and then preferably a little bit of time in the evening as the sun's going down, it can be a really great way to help us reset our cortisol curve. And can really just make a huge world of difference long term, and it doesn't take a long time. If I had to choose, right, one or the other, like let's say you're like, this is unreasonable, I'm not gonna make it outside twice a day, that's okay. I would choose early morning, right? Like before you get your coffee in, before you do anything, go outside for a few minutes and get a little bit of sun on your skin, because that's gonna make a big difference in your cortisol, but it's also gonna make a big difference in your mitochondrial health and stem cell production. And you'll remember that mitochondria are the king of hormone production, right? That's where everything starts. And so that can be a really good way to get things going and to just feel better, start your day off right. The next thing is going to be cold exposure. So I'm sure you guys in the biohacking community, right, have heard a lot about cold exposure. And you're seeing people jump into bathtubs and like big troughs with a ton of ice water and all this stuff and doing Wim Hof breathing so that they can stay in there longer. I think there is a lot of benefit to stuff like that, right? We know that cold exposure is really, really important. However, right, what if you can't do that, right? What if it doesn't sound like something that you want to do, which I totally get? Let's just start with cold at the end of your shower. So at the end of a hot shower, what you want to do is you want to turn your shower to cold, right? Cold, not warm. It's hard to do in Arizona, but cold. And let that cool down your body. When it comes to getting the most benefit from cold exposure, right? If you can get to the point of like shivering a little bit, that's going to give you brown fat activation. But that cold exposure is going to increase immune system, it's going to increase blood flow, and it's going to just help with a number of different things. And so I think that that is a really good addition that is easy, right? You don't have to have a big giant trough to get into with ice water. There's a lot of different ways to do this. And then building up your tolerance to cold over time is really, really important. My fourth suggestion is again an herb, and I am going to do a full video at some point on my favorite herbs for female health, but this one is a really good one. It's called Avena. So Avena is a nice calming nervine. What does that mean? It helps your parasympathetic, so your restful nervous system, to activate, right? And this is in contrast to your sympathetic, which is going to be more of your fight or flight, right? And so what we want to do is, a lot of people run through their life being very sympathetic dominant now. We run from thing to thing, we have a lot of stress, and a nice nervine can be a really great way to do that. The other thing that Avena does, which is really interesting, there's research studies on Avena that show that it helps to decrease sex hormone binding globulin. And we've talked so much in the past about testosterone, free testosterone, right? And then sex hormone binding globulin. And so this is an herb that's been shown to help with that, but it's also like a really safe, really wonderful nervine that just helps to calm things down, right? Helps to calm our nervous system down, will eventually help with cortisol levels too. So it has so many different benefits, and it's just a wonderful herb that's like really gentle, right? Because we definitely don't want to be adding in super, super strong herbs without knowing what you're doing with them. And then my last tip is a good multivitamin. So I actually did a full video on multivitamins in the past. I think they're really, really important. A lot of our nutrients in our food is just depleted, right? Our food just doesn't have as much to give us as it once did. When it comes to women, right, picking the right multivitamin is really, really important. In the majority of women, if you're of pregnancy age, I actually recommend being on a prenatal, whether or not you plan to get pregnant. This is especially true if you've been on any sort of oral contraceptives in the past, or if you're on oral contraceptives now. And so a really good multivitamin is important. If I was to look at the back of a multivitamin and I know whether or not I'm gonna like toss it away or start it, a good kind of base thing to look at, right? Obviously there's more to look at than just this, but a good base thing to look at is to look to see if the folate is in the form of folic acid, or if the B12 is in the form of cyanocobalamin. So if your folate is in the form of folic acid, get rid of it. Get rid of it. If your B12 is in the form of cyanocobalamin, again, get rid of it. What you're looking for is you're looking for methylcobalamin and methyl tetrahydrofolate for part of it. You can also do folinic acid, which can be helpful. So what you're looking for is you're looking for your folate to be in the form of methyl tetrahydrofolate or folinic acid, and then you're looking for your B12 to be in the form of methylcobalamin, right? There are other things to look at, like I said, but those are good baselines. If you turn it around and it's in the form of folic acid, just toss it. Toss it in the garbage. You don't need more folic acid. And then really, you know, some people go with plant-based multivitamins. I never go with plant-based multivitamins. You want your multivitamin to be absorbable. You want it to be strong. You want it to have good doses of the vitamins that we're missing. So that is the last thing that I would recommend in terms of getting good hormone production. And those are kind of like easy lifestyle things that we can change that really can make a big difference over time. If you're gonna add in things like this, like things like light, right, in the morning on your skin, give it time. You wanna really commit to doing this for at least, I would say, a solid 2 weeks to a month before you assess to see if it's making a difference, because all of these things are gentle but really, really powerful. put in the comments below if you have added any of these into your regimen and if they've made a difference for you in the way that you feel. And we'll see you next week for next week's video.